Hello everyone, my name is Cristina Mittermeier and I'm really thrilled to have an opportunity to share a little message in this annual summit. Thank you so much for having me again. As you know, I am a National Geographic photographer and I'm one of the co-founders of Sea Legacy. And as such, I spend a lot of time photographing in remote areas of the ocean and telling the story of what's happening to our planet and to our oceans. And I am not going to sugarcoat it for you. It is fraying at the edges and it's about to get a lot worse. In case you don't know, since 1970, we've already lost 69% of all biodiversity on this planet. Let me repeat that. 69% has been lost. And we're about to enter a new cycle of El Nino. The last time we saw this oscillation in the climate, it was in 2017, and we lost 30% of the coral reefs. This El Nino promises to be a lot more severe. But it is also important that we remember that Martin Luther King didn't start his speech by telling us he had a nightmare. He told us he had a dream, and then he articulated for us a pathway and a vision for how to get there. Of course, he was talking about civil rights. We are talking about the future of our planet. And there are so many things that we can do to build resilience. So let me remind you of a couple. Most importantly, SDG 14 is the most underfunded and remains the most underfunded of all the Sustainable Development Goals. The high-level panel is telling us that we need $174 billion a year in investments for the ocean. Of course, this comes from philanthropy, from corporate, from government, from foreign assistance. But it's something that you should keep in mind as you are looking for projects. Because at the moment, we only have $25 billion available. So we have a shortfall of $150 million of investments in ocean solutions on blue economies. The second thing that I want to remind you of is that we do have a pathway to restore health and abundance to the ocean. Dr. Duarte and his colleagues in a paper entitled Rebuilding Marine Life by 2050 talk about the 6 recovery wedges that we need to follow in order to restore the health of our oceans by 2050. That's a single generation. I'm going to recite those 6 wedges so that as you go into these meetings and as you're considering projects, you think about whether or not we're hitting all 6 wedges. First of all, we need to create more marine protected areas. We have a commitment globally as a community to protect 30% of the ocean by 2030. Ask yourself, what are the technological innovations that allow us to enforce and monitor and safeguard these protected areas? Secondly, we need to protect more species. Think about sharks, sea turtles, but also whales. And we're learning very quickly that whales are important allies in our efforts to decarbonize. The third wedge is that we need to stop the flow of pollution into the ocean. What are the material changes? What are the new opportunities that we have to change our supply chains and the materials that we work with to stop plastic from entering the ocean? The fourth wedge is that we need to rethink how we extract protein from the ocean. Now we know, 50 years ago when industrial fishing started, we were not aware, but now we know that we need the biomass of fish to stay in the ocean. So what opportunities do we have with really sustainable aquaculture, with alternative proteins, and with innovations in how do we extract fruit from the ocean in a more sustainable way? The fifth wedge is that we need to restore the habitats that have been degraded. Those are mangroves, coral reefs, and there's also a lot of innovation and investment that's possible there. And finally, and this is my favorite, we need to recast the ocean as a solution to climate change. The ocean is already absorbing 25% of all emissions, 90% of excess heat. It's where 80% of the biodiversity of the planet lives. It produces 50% of the oxygen we breathe because of ecosystems like phytoplankton, which is invisible, but it's active every day producing oxygen and drawing out carbon. And it's also incredibly threatened by warming waters and acidification. So I'll just leave you with a real good wish for a wonderful annual summit.
Yes.
There are a lot of wonderful relationships and ideas and opportunities to do more things that lend resilience to our planet come out of this meeting. Thank you so much.